Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of Tuesday Tips. Hopefully you saw last week was the last episode of the beginner series. I posted some beginner walkthrough solves. Now we're going to be moving on to more intermediate tips. So these tips are going to be geared at people that average usually under 2 minutes on 5x5, under 4 on 6x6, or under 6 on 7x7. And these should be pretty useful and probably somewhat new or kind of things you should be working on until you get to around I'd say advanced is more the 120, 240, and 4-minute cutoffs. At that point, you probably should have a pretty good mastery of all of these tricks and should be moving on to more advanced kind of techniques. So we're going to go ahead and start the first week off. The first week is a pretty general tip that a lot of people know about, but I have a couple more kind of more in-depth things about it, and we're going to be talking about last two edge algorithms on your big cubes. So when people say last two edge algorithms, they usually mean the 5x5 last two edge algorithms, and there aren't too many cases. I think there's only like 12 or so. When you get to the last two edges on 5x5, there's only about, I said 12 cases, and you can memorize every single case to solve all of these algorithms. Now, obviously, you do have to memorize some algs, but really 12 is hardly any, and it should only take you a couple days to do this. Chris Diasis has a really good website with all the algs listed out. I'll post a link in the description. It'll actually be there this time. I'll just go over a couple of some of the more common and really easy cases. So this is this is the super easy case I was gonna highlight first of all. I won't show you the algorithm as it's on the website, but just for example, as you can see right here, that case is probably actually faster than the pure parity alg of. So as you can see, some of the last two edge cases are incredibly useful. So this is the alg I first showed you. If you don't know the case, you'd have to do a flip or a slice, flip, slice, and then pure parity, which would probably take like 3 to 4 seconds longer than just doing the straight algorithm. Yeah, so a lot of these are very easy to learn. I'd recommend learning all of them. I would say there is one case, this case in particular, when the middles are flipped and slicing will line it up, you can do a slice, flip, double slice, flip. The actual algorithm for this case listed on Chris's site isn't too great, and I kind of was too lazy to ever learn it. I'd still recommend learning it, but that's probably the one that's the least useful in terms of relative times as opposed to doing the beginner method. Definitely go ahead and learn all of those. Now, I do have a couple more insightful things about these last two edge cases. So as you notice that these last two edge cases I've shown you are all on 5x5, and you might think, well, these aren't going to be that useful on 6 or 7. Well, that might be right on 6 and 7. Obviously, you can get to the point on 6 and 7 if you have cases similar to this. This is this case right here. These two are the same cases. As you can see, for them to be exactly the same, the middles have to be lined up, so you're going to have to do some solving beforehand. However, there are some tricky cases on 6x6 that are really nice to know. So, a lot of these last two edge cases on 5x5 can be used to solve trickier cases on 6x6 if you just do the slice moves. Notice on this case right here, which is these two cases are actually the same case. You just have to do the inner slice moves on these. If you notice, in this case, it's kind of useful to kind of notice how it works. I'm not the greatest at explaining how to like see the similarities. You should be able to notice the pretty similar pattern though, and by doing the inner slice moves only, you can solve that case in one algorithm. And it's the exact same moves as this. You just do the inners only. So I'd highly recommend checking out just doing the inner slice moves on 6x6. Just taking each of the 5x5 parity algs and doing the inner slice moves on 6x6 to see which cases you get. Most of them are very useful. Similar to this one right here. This case I actually had in my 202 world record single from 6 years ago now. So like, they're definitely useful. Cases like this will save you a lot of time, as the kind of new method for this will be, and then pure parity, which probably takes at least a solid 3 seconds slower than like that. So yeah, definitely check those out for 6x6. For 7x7, there's a similar kind of thing you can do here. The inner slice moves will also work in 6x6 kind of the same way on 7x7. They're just a lot more rare. You're hardly ever going to see them. 7x7 last two edge cases, when you're on the last two edges, I often find it useful to just do two sets of 5x5 edges. Like here, only look at the middle threes, and then you see, what case? Here we have this case in the middle, so we can do that one first. And then we can do the adder case, which I forced it to be the same one, but usually you get something different, obviously. 7x7 can always be done as two 5x5 last two edge cases. A lot of times, since the 5x5 last two edge cases are so easy, it kind of overwrites the negative effects of maybe having double parity on 7x7. I guess sometimes in a kind of a more advanced video, I'll go over how on 7x7 you can sometimes see in advance if you're going to have double parity. Therefore, you should force to get parity on the inner slice, then canceling it on the outer. But that's kind of more of an advanced technique as opposed to intermediate. I'd recommend for intermediate solvers you just do two 5x5 edges. So yeah, those are pretty much most of the 5x5 edges. I'll post the algorithms in the description. I'd highly recommend learning them all.